Pragmata feels like an old school game, in the best way. Not because it's trying to copy and paste, but because it understands something a lot of modern games forget. It's focused, it's simple, and honestly it reminds me of the kind of games we used to get back in the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era. Pragmata first had my attention back when the early trailers were released some years ago. The character designs really got my attention. This unlikely pairing of a big astronaut guy and a cute tiny big hair robot girl really stood out. I love a good quirky story in a video game. It's not every day publishers release a new IP like this. And now that the game is finally out, it was worth the wait. If you've been paying attention to Pragmata at all, you'll probably notice the unique dual-role gameplay mechanics of hacking and shooting. Diana does the hacking, while Hugh takes care of the shooting. Hacking is done by completing a side minigame in the right corner of the screen. As you complete the hacking minigame, enemy robot weak points are exposed, allowing for more damage to be done. And the hacking is a must as your weapons do little damage against them. This isn't your typical third-person shooter. You'll collect a lot of different weapons in the game, but the game forces you to use different guns that all fit specific circumstances. Some guns do straight damage, or short or long range, others have the ability to slow down enemies or create distractions for enemies. The guns are separated into different categories, so you can only carry so many of a certain kind. Weapon ammo is limited, so once your ammo's gone, that gun is done, and you'll have to find another one. You'll have your main gun that he uses, but once ammo is low, you'll have to wait for the gun ammo to restock itself. Most of the guns have some type of restocking or recharging animation that adds a bit of pacing to the combat. There's a real ebb and flow to the combat in the game that doesn't feel clunky at all, but better yet, strategic. Most of your enemies aren't super fast, but sometimes you'll be up against a room full of enemies. Boss fights are often fast-paced, which makes the hacking and shooting tricky in some fun ways. You can use his jet rocket shoes to evade and jump out of the way of danger, and there's a challenge to focus on hacking while keeping your eye on the enemy, and being quick to fire once your enemy's weak point is revealed. There's plenty of mods and upgrades you can get in the game to make your abilities smoother and stronger for both Hugh and Diana. It's a very straightforward pacing, but in a good way. Very much like an old school game, Pragmata doesn't offer you this big open world. And because of that, there's a good amount of traversal and platforming that helps break up the pacing. You're not just running from fight to fight, you're moving through the world, jumping across gaps, exploring, and figuring out how to reach certain areas. It's simple, but it works, and it adds just enough variety to keep the game from feeling repetitive. The levels you explore are plenty interesting with some cool themes to see. The combat is the most interesting part to me. You don't get bored with it. It just keeps getting more and more interesting with the weapons they add and the combat enhancements you can get. There's no side quests. While there's some challenge simulations you can play to unlock more content, the game keeps you engaged with the collectibles on the map and figuring out how to get them. And there's some cool stuff too to unlock in the game, like new costumes for Hugh and Diana, and you can find gifts to give Diana called REMs that replicate real-world toys and just fun stuff kids like to play with.
You okay? Not hurt, are you?
Nice pass, kiddo.
Pragmata feels less like a story you watch and more like one you slowly piece together. The game starts off with a story that leaves you asking a lot of questions. You and his team have been sent to the moon to investigate what's been going on with the lunar research facility. To their surprise, everyone is just gone. Eventually you'll be separated from your team, but you'll meet Diana, and they both try to restore order to the moon research facility and make their way back to Earth.
There you are. All better.
It's a pretty barren journey, not a story with a ton of characters, but the bond between Hugh and Diana feels like enough.
Yeah, baby, we did it! This is how we say, good job.
There's a familiar surrogate father-daughter dynamic, but it doesn't lean too heavy into it. The story remains pretty lighthearted and quirky, There's plenty of moments Hugh telling Diana about what life was like on Earth and what it's like to be human. The heart of the story lies within the growing relationship between the two.
You just gonna stay here when this is all done? What do you want?
I want to go to Earth. With you. Can I really go? Then I can go see your house and the ocean and real trees.
You bet.
A lot of Pragmata feels rooted in isolation, not just in where you are, but in how the game makes you feel. But at the same time, it's constantly pulling you towards connection, even if it's subtle. You're constantly being shown how the technology on the moon can replicate real-world places, and through memos you'll start to see just how reliant the researchers became on AI. And as sweet and lifelike as Diana is, you're reminded that she's still artificial. And I think that contrast is part of what makes the story work. It's constantly blurring the lines between what's real and what isn't. A life on the moon can feel empty. The lunar base is full of replications of what civilization on Earth is like. It's more than just lunar base style locations, but you'll see places that feel like an unfinished New York in a jungle of wildlife. It's empty, but it doesn't feel lifeless. The visuals in the game are stunning, and I love the art style. Pragmata was a day one purchase for me. I love the setting and gameplay. Diana is super cute, and it didn't come off as annoying or too cheesy at all. I have a soft spot for games that try to be tender at times. You would think the gameplay would be a bit repetitive, hacking and shooting, but it doesn't. It's a combat system that is really fun to play. There's enough enemy types and guns to keep it interesting, and because of how sticky the situation can get, you really care about making your upgrades and choosing the right mods to enhance combat abilities. Sometimes stuff like that you kind of just tune out in games and upgrade by obligation, but it felt engaging enough to me. It's not a perfect game, but nothing here really took away from the experience for me. The story is pretty straightforward. It's not a grandiose script. It is lacking in having a nice cast to keep things interesting. Some other characters to me could be interesting, but considering the setting, it makes sense for it to really just be Hugh and Diana and a few of the characters. The world does feel pretty empty at times, but not totally lifeless. I think it's really great to see games released like this today. This is a AAA game, but it doesn't feel like a typical AAA experience. It's simple, it's focused, and it's not trying to be everything for everyone. If you watched my last video, I talked about how games sometimes just need to feel like games, and Pragmata fits that perfectly. There's no massive open world, no overwhelming systems, no endless checklist of things to do. It's just a well-crafted experience that knows what it wants to be, and it sticks to it. And honestly, I want more games like this. Pragmata really reminds me of Stellar Blade. Both of these games caught my interest when they were first announced. They both have this quirky, unique style to them that keeps things feeling different from other games. There's a stylistic approach than just relying on realism, which is something most Eastern developers do really well. The games themselves aren't these larger-than-life games, but what you do have is fun, and what it has to offer is done really well. At this point, you'll probably already know if Pragmata is for you. If you're unsure, I'd say grab it on sale, but if you're curious, it's absolutely worth experiencing now. It's refreshing to see Capcom take a chance on a new IP, and for me, this is why Pragmata feels like a breath of fresh air. If you've played Pragmata, let me know in the comments what you thought about the game or what you've been playing lately. Do you see yourself giving Pragmata a try? Let me know. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell to stay up to date on future videos. This is Player One signing off. Catch you later.
Now that we've got a game plan, let's finish this. Can't keep 8 waiting.